Hello and welcome to the Find Your Next Guitar podcast. I am Dave, your host, and today we have an awesome interview lined up with this guy, Yiannis Papadopoulos, and he's with us on the show today all the way from Greece. Yiannis is ranked as one of the top 3 guitar soloists in the world, as well as he plays on tour with Scott Stapp from Crete. In this interview, Yiannis is going to share with us what it really takes to become a world-renowned professional guitarist. How's it going, Yiannis?
It's going great, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get started then. Give me your questions. Shoot out.
Yeah. So, how many years have you been playing guitar, and what kind of first inspired you to get into playing?
Right. So I've been playing since I was 4. Now I'm 32, so it's quite some time. My father is actually a guitar player, so he was the main, let's say, inspiration at first. And then as I was growing up, I enrolled in a conservatory and started taking officially lessons and these things. And I was into Slash, Guns N' Roses and all these rock bands. And I really wanted to be like Slash in the beginning, And then as the years went by and all the technique was starting to come together, I started listening to Dream Theater, and then my main influence, let's say, it's John Petrucci. And yeah, till this day, I still hear his music and I get the goosebumps,
Yeah.
And mainly that's, let's say, my main source of inspiration at first.
So, with all your playing experience, what do you think makes a great guitar?
Yeah, I mean, the guitar has to be great. And what I mean by this is, I always think that it's the means of expression for the player, so it has to feel good. And what feels good, it's different for different guys. So for me, it has to be comfortable the way that it's, the construction wise. So not too thick, not too thin. It has to be, for example, the neck, something in between, and the body also not too fat, not too thin. Again, something in the middle. So the construction should be well balanced. The woods also need to resonate well, and also, I mean, it has to feel right. It needs to have sustain. You need to have a good tone. It's your instrument. It should stay in tune. It's music. So, I mean, generally speaking, that's why I'm endorsing PRS guitars. I feel that all of the things that I need, I find them in these instruments, and they have a quality in their construction. No matter if you have a private stock PRS or if you have an SC series, I mean, you can find quality. I mean, the value for money is great. Of course, they're not. The private stock is the private stock, and the SC series is, of course, it's not the same guitar. But again, the value for money is great in any series of the PRS guitars. So if you ask me what's the great guitar and what should have, I would say the Custom 24 is more or less perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that. I don't think I've ever picked up a PRS that didn't just feel great and play great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great instruments, man. They've been around for quite some time now, and I mean, Paul knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone wants to take their playing to the next level, and obviously you teach some lessons and you have experience touring the world as a professional musician and with doing some session playing as well, maybe for someone just starting out and then for someone also that's a more advanced player, what do they need to do to take their playing to the next level?
Right. So first thing is first. Anything that has to do with taking these things seriously, it involves hard work. I mean, you need to be dedicated for sure. I mean, you need to spend time with the instrument, and you need to take the time and listen to yourself playing. You need uh, to understand how to make your instrument sound good. And I'm not necessarily talking about speed at the moment, or I mean, you need to have some technical skills, of course. Apart from, let's say, being able to perform, you need to have some skills in order to be able to play anything that it's required if you are a session player, let's say. And you need to know your way around the instrument theory wise, and you need to know the fretboard and all these things that have to do with studying the instrument. So you need to take the time and devote time to that. So assuming that you have these things, let's say, and you can play some stuff, the next piece of advice, let's say, is experiment. Because I mean, it's quite easy if you want to learn how to play fast, or if you want to imitate a certain style of playing. More or less, you need to just do some things that you can find online. I mean, do these 5, 10 exercises and just increase with the metronome, and more or less you will be able to do it, if not in a month, in a year. But it's like you have a way. But for example, if you want to discover your own voice and be more like a solo player with a more distinctive sound, you need to take the time and experiment with different scales. You need to experiment with your gear. If you want to have a unique sound, you need to experiment with the guitars, and anything that has to do with you and how you approach music and how you approach business. For example, even if you are player, if you want to go out and be seen and take the job, take the gig, you need to be able to perform right. So you need to be able to stand on stage and to be well dressed, and you need to look good. So all these things, it's a certain package that you need to work to build it. So for example, I remember that apart from, let's say, watching out for people, going at gigs, apart from watching how they played when I was younger, I always used to watch, for example, how they performed. If they were just doing, head banging, or if they were staring at the audience, if they were sleepy on stage, you need to pay attention and avoid mistakes that other people do, and see what you can gain by watching others. And this is how you can evolve, generally speaking, as a player and as a musician.
Yeah, and it takes a lot of work, not just to learn how to play, but to learn all of those other things and piece it together. If you don't have the whole package, it's kind of an all or nothing deal if you're looking to play pro.
Yeah, man, but uh, this is for any profession, let's say. I mean,
Sure.
nobody was born and was able to do anything immediately. Okay, some people have a more natural tendency of doing some stuff. They're more efficient by their nature. Some people run faster. Some people, I don't know, are taller. Some people have blue eyes. Some people play faster by their nature. But this doesn't mean that anyone else is prevented from doing that, or even better. I mean, I always believe that hard work is the key of achieving anything in life. It has to do with how much you want it, and how much you're willing to sacrifice your personal time, or personal, let's say, I don't know, anything. It's about sacrifice to achieve your goal, and how dedicated you are, and how much you believe in yourself. But I don't believe that it's something that it's of course it's all or nothing, but it has to do with how much space you leave to yourself regarding failure, and what you perceive as failure. I mean, it's for some people it's a dream of life just to play one gig, with their friends down, and it's great. For some other people, the dream is to play in full arenas and have sold out shows throughout the world. So, I mean, it's a totally different thing to look at, and the sacrifice is much greater in the second, let's say, case.
And what's a favorite memory you have from being on tour or just playing guitar in general?
I don't know. I need to say that playing on stage, it's something that it's very intimate. I don't know. You have a certain, let's say, impact. It's I don't know. I have plenty of memories. I would say the most, let's say, one that pops in mind right now. A few years back, we played a gig with one former band that I was in, and it was a gig inside the forest, and it was like it had 35,000 people, inside the woods.
Wow.
And a big stage near the river. So yeah, it was very, very nice gig. People screaming. The music was great. The performance of the band was excellent, and it was very, very pleasant atmosphere. And yeah, that's a good memory for sure. For sure.
Yeah, and is there any advice other than what you already said that you would give to someone maybe looking to start a band, or just in general, and anything else you'd want to leave the listeners with?
Right. Yeah, being in a band or starting a band, it's much different than, just being a player or a session musician for hire, because if you want to start a band, apart from you need to take care of the rest of the people, so you need to find people that you can communicate, first of all, that you like to spend time with these people, because if you are rehearsing, you're gonna see them too many hours, so you need to be friends. You need to have people that are friends. This is the key to success for me. You need to be able to communicate with them, and communication always solves any kinds of problems, let's say. And I believe it makes you create stronger bonds and create better music overall. So this is the first key. So you need to find people that you can, let's say, tolerate. And secondly, you need to have people that are, in my eyes at least, they have to be at least equal players or even better than you are, so that you need to have somebody to rely on while on stage. And generally speaking, you need to, if you communicate on the personal level, it's a good thing to communicate also in the musical level, so that you can create something and that you can talk the same language, let's say, when you play. So that's the second thing, of course. And then they need to be also equally devoted to the band. They need to work as hard as you are. They need to make the same sacrifices. And let's say that you have these guys, that you have found the team. The next thing is that you have to be, you need to understand that this is a company. I mean, okay, of course you play the music and you write the songs, but if you want to be a band, a good band, and you need to go out, it's like you're having a company and you have your product, and your product is music. So you need to do the branding. You need to have your name. It needs to be catchy, and you need to have a good logo. You need to make a good advertisement on top of having great songs, of course. So at that point, you need to search for, perhaps a manager or a company that will book a good tour, and then you have to go out and play, and the people will have to get to know you, and then you have to be good with the people. So I mean, generally speaking, the personal, let's say, touch of these things is perhaps even more important than anything. So I mean, if you're just a rock star that you can play anything, but you're not good with people, generally speaking, the story doesn't end equally good. If you compare it to another story where you have a regular band or a guy that plays and they're good with people, they connect with their audience, um, and on top of that, they can play. So I mean, you need to have people that they want to do the same thing as you, and you need to understand that hard work again pays off in the end, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that you need to run it like a business, like a company, because I think a lot of people maybe getting started in high school or at 14 or 15 years old, and they really just don't have the experience, and they have unrealistic expectations of how much work this actually takes. But I think that was a very good point that you made.
Yeah, man, it's not the same thing. For example, I'm 32. When I was 15, I didn't have the same, let's say, opportunities compared to people that are 15 now. The internet plays, of course, a massive role in this industry. And with the social media and all the networking, of course, you have multiple, let's say, possibilities and chances of being seen. So, I mean, generally speaking, even for me, if you are young, it's even better. Of course, you need to work. You need to work hard. But if you have a talent and it's something that it's obvious, let's say, for example, if you see a kid that's 15 years old and has a great voice, everybody wants to invest, because it's one thing to have a singer who is 30 and he has to sing for some years after 30, and another thing to have a young kid who is 15 now and he has so many things to give as the years go by. So I mean, I surely advise people, if they have kids that they have a talent in music, or they want to follow this as a profession or anything, I truly advise them to push in a good sense their kids towards music, towards the art. It's not always the lawyers or I don't know, the bankers or any other profession that makes a good living or a way in life. The arts is also good. It's good for the soul. It's good for society. It brings us all together in a sense of balance. So I advise parents to motivate the children to work hard and get out in the world and play and be seen and work.
Yeah. And then you also teach lessons, right?
Right. I teach privately here in Greece. Well, I'm not touring, and I also teach via Skype. I also have students, throughout the world. I have plenty from the US, I have from Spain, from all over Europe, and from Asia. And I think it's a good way of, just learning studying guitar with, let's say, any teacher you admire. And I think it has very good results, very good results. And I also teach while I'm on tour with Scat Stap. By the way, as we're talking now, I'm the lead singer of the lead guitar player in Scat Stap's band, and we're touring the US. We just finished the first leg of our US tour, and we're heading out again in May. So if you want to check out dates and come at gigs, you can visit Scott Stapp's site and you can find all the dates there. But back to the main question. I teach one-on-one lessons while on tour with Scott Stapp. And for anybody that's interested in Skype or one-on-one, they can contact me via email at g.papadopoulos@yahoo.gr, and we can arrange any details via email.
Great. And I'll put some text to that in case anyone missed it. So I'll put a link to your website at the end of the interview. And Yiannis, it was great to have you on the call. I'm glad that you could join us all the way from Greece. I was excited to have you on. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you for having me and for your support. And keep doing what you do. I think it's very important and it helps people.